Welcome, everyone! Today's explainer is a really profound one. We are diving deep into a fascinating article by Malfano Yusuf Beitosh, and we're going to stay absolutely faithful to his original text to give you a detailed, comprehensive summary of his work. We're unpacking ancient Syriac spiritual concepts and seeing how they apply to a surprisingly modern problem, human decay. As you'll see, in this tradition, language isn't just about naming things. It is a dynamic, active tool designed to literally transform the soul. Here is the roadmap for Beitosh's framework. We'll start with entropy and spiritual dissolution, then move into Tukoso Sniko, or the system of needs. From there, we'll look at the balance of bread and logos, followed by Folhutho, which is worship shaped by labor. Then we'll cover Tavditho, a religion born of gratitude, and finally wrap up with the soul's ultimate resistance to entropy. All right, let's jump straight into Section 1, Entropy and Spiritual Dissolution. So, you're probably familiar with entropy, right? It's that silent, universal law of physics where any system, if left totally to itself, just loses its order and decays. Well, Beitosh takes this hardcore physical law and brilliantly applies it to the human soul. He points out that we are absolutely bound by this exact same rule. If we don't actively maintain our inner world, if we just let ourselves coast, we're inevitably doomed to exhaustion and meaninglessness. Think of it like a house. If you don't keep up with the repairs, it just naturally falls apart. Our souls are no different. To highlight the trap of ignoring this inner maintenance, Beitosh writes that the minds of those who seek everything in matter reside only in their eyes, and those eyes are blind to spirituality. It's such a striking thought. If you're completely hyper-focused on the physical, material world, you are literally blind to the invisible decay happening inside of you. Beitosh is telling us that true, lasting freedom absolutely requires spiritual upkeep. That brings us to Section 2. Tukoso Sniko, or the system of needs. So, how do we actually fight this chaotic entropy? In Syriac wisdom, it requires acknowledging what Beitosh calls Tukoso Sniko. Now, this isn't just about needing basic food or water. It's the profound inherent law of mutual interdependence woven into the very fabric of existence. While a sociologist might just call it mutual dependence, the Syriac tradition treats it as a cosmic truth. No being can survive or even find real meaning in isolation. We are fundamentally hardwired to need one another. To validate this system of needs, Beitosh actually points straight to the teachings of St. Paul in the book of Romans. Paul notes that while we are many, we form one single body, and each member belongs to all the others. Beitosh uses this to prove that this isn't just some nice poetic metaphor. It's the reality of Tukoso Sniko. Your individual purpose is only unlocked when you realize you're part of a greater whole. You're not the center of the universe, for sure, but you're also a vital, irreplaceable limb of a massive shared body. Moving on to Section 3, the balance of bread and logos. Beitosh emphasizes that humanity is inherently dual-natured. On one side, we have our physical needs, which he represents with bread and matter. But on the other side, we have immense spiritual needs, represented by the divine meltho, which means the word, logos, or spirit. We've all heard the phrase, man shall not live on bread alone. Beitosh argues that if we prioritize just surviving biologically and totally ignore that divine meltho, we completely lose our equilibrium. And that imbalance, that's exactly what triggers the spiritual entropy we talked about earlier. But here's the beautiful part. Beitosh argues that once you truly understand Tukoso Sniko, that frustrating internal conflict between your physical urges and your spiritual mind just dissolves. It transforms from a battle into a unified, working harmony. When your inner world is finally ordered, your external life naturally starts to flow in a healthy, balanced direction. Let's look at how we achieve that harmony in Section 4. Folhutho, which translates to worship shaped by labor. Okay, this etymological breakdown is absolutely fascinating. In Syriac, the word for worship is Folhutho, but its root word is flaw. And flaw doesn't mean passively submitting or just sitting quietly. It literally means to plow, to sculpt, to sweat, to train. Beitosh makes it crystal clear that in this tradition, true worship is a rigorous, ongoing, highly intentional plowing of your own character. It is an active, demanding effort to sculpt your inner self. Beitosh gives us these amazing, vivid Syriac phrases to really drive this home. Look at the word fliho, which means the labored or transformed state. Afrofliho is cultivated earth.
Folhutho is a trained mind. Folhutho is sculpted marble, and Folhutho is a disciplined tongue. The message is just undeniable here. An unplowed mind is exactly like an uncarved block of marble. It requires serious, intentional force and discipline to create any kind of meaning or beauty.
So how do we actually apply this labor? Well, Bektash points to practices like fasting, or simo. He notes that reaching the truth in the Syriac tradition almost always starts with a breaking or splitting, just like a heavy plow splitting open the hard earth. Fasting isn't just about suppressing your appetite. It's a profound form of Folhutho. It is the active labor of cracking the hardened shell of your ego so that the divine light can finally slip in. Now for Section 5, Tavditho, or religion born from gratitude. Tavditho was typically translated as gratitude, but incredibly, in Syriac terminology, it is also the literal word for religion itself. Bektash breaks down its roots for us: avdi kavdito, which means gaining strength or compassion, and avdi, which means to confess or acknowledge. So religion here isn't viewed as a rigid checklist of rules. It's synonymous with a deeply felt, active state of gratitude where you constantly acknowledge the divine source of all your strength. This leads us to a massive paradigm shift. Bektash makes this brilliant distinction between the arrogance of an owner and the humility of a custodian. Entropy and decay totally take over the very second we arrogantly start believing we actually own our breath, our talents, or our wealth. The reality? We don't own any of it. We are just custodians. Every single thing we have is a sacred trust, an emanate, given by a divine source, and our only job is to steward those gifts, not hoard them. Bektash powerfully invokes another verse from St. Paul to just completely shatter this human arrogance. He asks, "What do you have that you did not receive? And if you received it, why do you boast as though you didn't?" It's a serious reality check. Everything in existence is a given grace. When we forget that, we fall right back into the delusion that we're the center of the universe, and that is precisely when our spiritual decay speeds up. Finally, Section 6, the soul's resistance to entropy. So Bektash essentially frames human life as this massive cosmic tug of war. On one side, you have the heavy, relentless pull of entropy, the forgetting, the dissolving, the natural decay. But on the other side, you have the active, deliberate push of Folhutho, that spiritual labor, and Tavditho, that humble gratitude. These two forces are literally the only things capable of waking us up from our arrogant slumber and defeating the decay of the soul. He drops this really profound philosophical maxim here. Being comes before doing. Bektash explains that you don't artificially become a good person just by doing good deeds. It's the other way around. Through the hard labor of Folhutho and the gratitude of Tavditho, you return to your pure, original essence. And from that authentic state of being, genuine good works just naturally flow outward. Bektash's ultimate thesis offers us a really hopeful realization. Even amidst the unavoidable reality of physical decay, there is a clear path to truth. The ultimate goal is for your soul to rise up and take the wheel. When your soul actively guides your body in alignment with divine order, you stop being just a passive victim of entropy. You step up and become an active, grounded steward of your own life. And that leaves us with a pretty heavy challenge, directly inspired by Malfono Yusuf Bektash's incredible analysis. Are you living right now merely as an arrogant owner of your days, just letting entropy take its natural course? Or are you living as a grateful custodian, rigorously and actively sculpting your soul? Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into Syriac wisdom. I really hope this explainer has sparked your curiosity and given you something profound to think about today.